My pleasure to introduce Anil Bhandari. He's one of the co-chairs of this hugely successful PanIIT Global Conference for 2011 in New York City. Among the many things that he has done for the conference, especially he focused on sponsorship, which is very critical for any conference. So Anil, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much.
So it's a great conference. I, along with many other people, won't expect anything less from the IIT brand. So just like I asked your other co-chairs, there was 2003 to 5 to 7 and 9 to build upon, and every time we try to do better. And this is no exception. So the million-dollar question is, what was your role and how intense was it? Because money is the critical component of any conference.
Well, in this particular conference, it started off by, first of all, bidding against a couple of cities, because a lot of other cities were interested in hosting the conference, such as Toronto, Houston, and San Jose itself were serious contenders. So we basically put together a presentation and we explained that we should have a conference on the East Coast, where we have a concentration of the corporates, as well as quite a few of alumni in the tri-state area. So that was the beginning, and I basically worked with the other two co-chairs on putting that together. Once we won that, then we started working on the fundraising end. So I was involved with the fundraising end, and we fortunately were successful in raising reasonable amount of funds, where we felt comfortable enough that we would be not in the red, or at least we would break even. Having said that, then my role was, I would say, virtually involved in all different aspects. A little bit on the content side, a little bit on the getting gift items, getting jute bags, or the bags with the handout bags, getting speakers, some of the speakers, structuring the content. So I was involved in virtually all the aspects of the conference, except for Gautam did all the hotel logistics, where I had very little of contribution.
So the other aspect of putting a great conference like this together is the number of volunteers it takes. Every time you do a conference is pretty much reinventing the wheel in some aspects, and in some aspects you carry the legacy forward. So how big were the volunteer team and some of the nuts and bolts of putting this together?
The volunteer team, you can break it up in two parts. The real workers bee, were a group of about, I would say, 15 to 20. That was called, that was a part of the steering committee. And then, of course, we have a volunteer team which was much larger, which is about 60 or 70 people, which helped us put this all together, because this is really a joint effort, not a one-man effort, as you can imagine, putting this conference together. And the feedback we've gotten is fairly positive. So I think the conference is going well. I don't know what you have to say about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm commending, because I've covered the 2009 conference as well. Was part of it as a volunteer in 2007. So I've seen, that's why I said, you have to keep going up and better yourselves from the last time.
The main thing I would say is the main difference in this conference, which we have attempted to do, is we have brought out 3 different initiatives, which we hope are going to carry forward and in the following conferences. One being the state of the economy. We thought that the job fair would be an important ingredient, where it would give a chance for the young generation, middle generation, to evaluate what their career advancement opportunities are. So we were successful in bringing corporates like Google, Amazon, Deloitte, Goldman, Genpact, Mahindra Satyam. They were basically came in for the recruiting side. That was one initiative. Second initiative we had was really recognizing people who have excelled, IIT alumni, who have excelled in various fields, whether it be education, whether it be social work, whether it be technological advancement. So in that context, we selected 9 alumni to award those, and those have gone in the IIT Hall of Recognition, which is the first time that we really displayed IIT Hall of Recognition. That's part of the PanIIT Gallery, and if you've gone to the PanIIT Gallery, you've seen that we have created a IIT history. PanIIT Gallery also has the IIT Hall of Recognition. And the third initiative, which you will see this evening, is that we are going to provide give checks to 4 NGOs. This is the first time that any conference related to IIT is going to give back to the community. And I think what we want to showcase is that not only have we taken from the IITs, now it's time for us to give back. And 2 of the NGOs are very much IIT driven, where they fund needy kids who get into the IITs and cannot afford to go to the IITs. And 2 are grassroots driven, where basically we are providing funding for basic education, primary school education, because education finally ends up with knowledge, which ends up in innovation, and that's what we are attempting to do.
I want to now ask a question based on your professional career. You are a senior VP with Morgan Stanley, and right here in the heart of Manhattan. How are things different compared to 2 years ago?
The markets are very different, as you know. The markets are extremely volatile. They're turbulent. 2 years ago, we are going back to 2009. In 2009, the markets have sort of already digested the catastrophe, the tsunami that we had experienced in 2008. Right now, the big issue in everybody's minds is really Europe. Well, how is Europe going to do? What is going to happen? Whether China is going to have a slowdown? What is going to happen to the US economy in this next year with the new presidential election coming in? So what has happened is that, as I describe it, is now we are really not, the 20th century was a century which I call the American century, where everything was related to America, and America was a superpower. This century is going to be the global century, where a lot of facts are going to be driven by what happens around the globe, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's Asia, whether it's China, whether it's Brazil. And the migration of human capital is going to really decide where the growth is going to be, because that's usually is sort of precedes the growth in that particular area. And as you can see, there's been a lot of brain drain which happened out of India has diminished, because people have been going back to India. That's a growth area. People have been going back to Asia, to China, and that's why I say that usually that is an indicator to the growth in the economic markets.
When it comes to Indian successes, there's a fair number of successes here in the capital markets, and you compare that to successes entrepreneurial in Silicon Valley. There's a cultural shift. People there are Indians, but very different in their approach, in their mannerisms. I'm going culturally here. Do you think that Indians here have to make an extra effort to keep up with the rest?
No longer.
To blend with them?
No longer. I think there are always going to be 2 sets of Indians. One set of Indian that very easily blend with the rest of the because we're all immigrants in America. And then there are going to be ethnic Indians who want to stay with the ethnic race. So if the ethnic Indians don't want to blend in to the mainstream, then obviously it's their choice. By choice they're doing so. Otherwise, as far as if you look at the mainstream is really not distinguishing between the Indians and the Americans, the rest of the Americans. As a matter of fact, over the last couple of years, the image of the Indians has gone up, has improved, and substantially. So the corporates look at it favorably. The basic population looks at it favorably. So I think it's a positive.
Again, congratulations on a job very well done, and thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much for this evening.